we're going to go to Glenn Beck, and he has a diatribe here against education, public education. First of all, of course, it's riddled with misinformation, which I'll tell you about after we watch the video. And second of all, it's curious because this is part of a trend now. Newt Gingrich talked about it. Now Glenn Beck is talking about it, how they're trying to discourage you from getting an education. You don't want to go to school. Okay? He's going to argue for homeschooling here. All right, let's watch and then come back and talk about it.
Homeschooling is a really frightening thing. Really frightening. Because you think that you can't do it.
Everybody thinks that at first, though.
Yeah. You know what's amazing is, Tanya's freaked out of her mind right now. And I remember when Jackie, your wife, started doing it, she was freaked out of her mind.
Yeah.
And my wife is currently freaked out of her mind about doing it. And we got to get out of this mindset that we can't do it. Edison was homeschooled. Washington was homeschooled.
Jefferson
was homeschooled. I believe Einstein was homeschooled, wasn't he?
May have been.
We got to get out of this idea that you can't do it.
Well, it's like everything else. It's just the fear of the unknown. You've never done it before.
And we've been raised in a culture that says that you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. It takes an expert. I mean, it's when you understand the progressive movement and you understand how the progressive movement has controlled history, controlled education, and controlled the unions, you understand why you're so scared out of your mind to teach your own children. Mm-hmm. They need you to do that. They need you to be afraid of it. They need you because you must rely on the state. You must rely on the government. You must rely on a teacher, a accredited teacher.
And that's what everybody else will tell you, too.
Exactly right. From a university that's teaching garbage. You must rely on a teacher that belongs to a union. I mean, it's really insidious. I have great, profound respect for teachers, and I'm not hanging them out to dry. The system, I am. The system is broken, and every teacher knows it. If you have any way, you must start preparing mentally to make this choice. Get yourself out of this system. Get yourself unplugged as much as you possibly can. Because if you are afraid to teach your own children, federal law is going to require you to do a lot of things. Now, understand that every time a state has gone out of control, they've had to turn the children on their parents. They have had to turn the homeschooling movement into something ugly, and they've had to discredit it and stop it to get everybody into one school every single time. You may have a battle on your hands coming. You're going to have a tough go of it, possibly. But get yourself mentally prepared, and if there's a way you can, cut back and you can afford to do homeschooling by one of you guys staying home, it's well worth it, and it is only going to become more valuable for the future of our country, not just for your child, but honest to God, for the future of our country.
Moron of morons. Washington and Jefferson were homeschooled. That's because public education didn't exist then. You know who helped push public education? Jefferson. Now, how could he have been going to a public school if he hadn't started a movement yet for it as an adult? But the thing is, he doesn't bother with facts. Ironically, it's because he didn't get an education. See, what an education does for you, a public education sometimes, or going to those universities that you called garbage, Glenn Beck, is that it teaches you things. Like that, hey, you know what? Public education started in this country in the early 19th century thanks to Thomas Jefferson. So Jefferson wouldn't have had a choice in which public high school he was going to go to. God, profound and utter ignorance. And what he wants to do is spread that ignorance to you. Teachers are bad. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has a great and profound respect for teachers who are turning your children against you and who teach them garbage and make sure you get them out of that school because the teacher's the worst, but he has profound respect for them. And whatever you do, don't go to university and get an education. Why? Because they need your ignorance. The Republican Party and the conservative movement need you to believe their propaganda. The facts are their enemy. The truth is their enemy. Evidence and education, these are all the enemies of propaganda. So what they want to do is try to make you as ignorant as possible so that they could replace the facts with their opinions. And he says it so, flippantly, like, oh, homeschool your kids. So he says, oh, look, it might be a little tough. Yeah, Glenn, it might be a little tough, because I don't know if you know this, a lot of Americans, the mom and the dad work because they have to, because it's really hard for the middle class to get along, to get by. And so they don't have the luxury of being able to, oh, well, papa's off, working, and mama will homeschool the kids. I'm not speaking out against homeschooling. It's not for me. If it's for you, and I know conservatives do it, liberals do it, etc., and if you have the time and the patience and you're going to teach all your kids all those different classes, God bless your heart. Now, the unschooling phenomenon is a whole different ballgame, okay? I'm not buying that for a second. But here's what I need you to do. Either way, make sure your kids get an education. Whatever you do, don't listen to Glenn Beck. He doesn't have your best interest in mind. He wants you to be just as stupid and ignorant as he is. Don't believe the hype.